Here is Ghost Dog.
And Miss Hangover.
And this is the fantasy floor play. His pick.
Her flex.
We got the top running backs for all your football fantasy needs. Ghost Dog's list on top of Miss Hangover's list. But before we get into all that, here's a word from our sponsors.
Welcome to Fantasy Foreplay, a startup show where your draft begins and your knowledge will grow. His picks and her flex, we got you back for show. From quarterback to steeple, that's where we explode. All love, no lust, we the ones you can trust. Lock in your options, you know it's a must. With this week's fantasy, we'll help you adjust. Boom, up a bus, let's get ready to rush. Draft the right, don't miss the call. In the game, we got it all. I hope you enjoy.
Alrighty, so starting off with our video this week for running backs, I'm going to start with my number 10, Kenneth Walker. So last year, 2024, he only played in 11 games. He had injuries, it eliminated his availability, and messed up his consistency. He did share a workload with Charbonnet, who excelled in his absence, but he still did 181.2 fantasy points, and he is projected to do 263.7. He had about an average of 16.47 fantasy points per game. That is still pretty substantial given that he only played in 11 games. So I will put my money on him. That was, 7 touchdowns. I'm not really going to mention the yards this time because they weren't really valid, being that he was, not available. With that being said, that's my number 10. I'm going to pass it off to Ghost.
Thank you, babe. Now, my 10 is a little different here, somewhat of an emerging star, and I decided to go with James Cook. Last year, he did 328 overall. This year, he's projected to do 352. Honestly, I think he might do a little bit more than that. This kid is motivated. He's young, only 3 years in the league, so, expect him to just be that bell cow that the Bills need. Possibly, maybe, could take them a little bit further this year than what they have been these past couple of years, being as that they've had playoff problems in the past. But however, as I said, 1,000 yards rushing, 200 yards receiving, 32 receptions. So running backs like this, keep an eye on, especially for your PPR leagues. That being the case, Miss Hangover, take it away for your number 9 spot.
Alrighty, thank you, baby. My number 9 is going to Chuba Hubbard. He balled out last year for 313.6 fantasy points. He is projected to do 342.6. He delivered a career-high best for 2024 with 1,195 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, and 1 receiving touchdown. He finished as PPR RB13 thanks to his volume and his goal line work. I think he is going to be a top contender this year. For fantasy, I do think I have him a little low on, this list, considering he is my number 9. He is up there for me to pick, obviously, but I'm hoping to see that he does really good things this year. Who is your number 9?
My number 9 is Chase Brown. So, little underwhelming in the rushing yards. However, talking about those PPR leagues, pay attention. 54 receptions, 360 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns. And the Bengals, They might be playing a lot of catch up, so that might hinder his rushing attempts, but expect those receptions to go up, because I've said it once and I'm gonna keep saying it. The Bengals defense is absolutely atrocious. So there's an argument for any offensive piece over there to be looked on as far as fantasy steals and what have you. However, for my top 10, Chase Brown easily makes it and at the number 9 spot. That being the case, babe, take it away for your number 8.
My number 8 is going to be Alvin Kamara. He only played 14 games last year, but he still went off for 265.3 fantasy points. He is projected to do 264.8. He averaged about 18.95 fantasy points per game. He did 950 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 reception touchdowns. Kamara was the team's leading rusher last year and second leading receiver. He was definitely a dual threat weapon. I think at one point he even had like an injured hand, and he literally carried that team on his back. So he's going to be my number 8, hands down. What about you, baby? Who's your number 8?
My number 8 is actually within the same division, and that is Bucky Irving for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Talk about dual threats. Bucky Irving ain't too shabby himself with 392 receiving yards last year, along with 47 receptions, on top of having over 1,100 rather, on the ground. I get it. Mike Evans is over there. Buka, the young rookies over there doing some things. However, expect Bucky Irving to put up numbers regardless. He's projected to do 371. Sounds about right around the feasible mark for me. So absolutely, Bucky Irving, without a doubt, makes my top 10 at the number 8 spot. Take it away, baby.
Going into number 7, I'm going to pick Jonathan Taylor. He did 322.7 fantasy points last year. He's projected to do 398.3. He did 1,431 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns, and 1 receiving touchdown. He's the centerpiece of the Colts offense. He finished top 5 in rushing yards and top 10 among all fantasy formats. So I feel like you can't lose picking Jonathan Taylor and getting him on your team. And I can't say enough about this guy. Who is your number 7?
My number 7 is Josh Jacobs out of the Green Bay Packers. Now, last year just went absolutely off, 381. This year he's projected to do 372. Honestly, I don't expect that little bit of a dip. I get it. It's Jordan Love over there, got a lot of weapons in the airs and what have you. However, expect Josh Jacobs to do things to alleviate Jordan Love. He's had his ups and downs, Jordan Love, so I expect the Green Bay Packers to continue to rely on Josh Jacobs. He is the bell cow over there. Did 17 points average per game last year. I expect him to do a little bit more this year. So absolutely keep an eye out for Josh Jacobs. He easily makes my top 10 at the number 7 spot. Take it away, my love.
All right. Number 6, Bucky Irving. He's that dude. 312.4 fantasy points, projected to do 371. 1,122 yards, 8 touchdowns, top 10 in rushing success rate and yards. He contributed 47 receptions for 392 yards. This performance made him top 15 running back for the season last year. So, you can, bet on him this year. Doing great. Hopefully, even if he did half as good, he's still gonna get you good numbers. That is my number 6. Who is yours, babe?
Absolutely, Bucky Irving is gonna get you numbers. However, for my number 6 is Boise State's own, now a Las Vegas Raider, underneath the head coaching of a Pete Carroll. And I get it. Oh, Ghost, he's a rookie. What are you doing? Listen, top running back coming out of college this past draft. Hands down. The only comparison, even other competition he had in terms of greatness was Omarion Hampton. However, look, I expect a Bijan Robinson-esque season out of this young man. Hands down, I saw flashes of beast mode out there when he in the last preseason game against the 49ers. No nonsense. The kid is talented, just super athletic, deceptively powerful for his stature, and he's projected to do 392. And if you've been paying attention to Pete Carroll's style, he runs the ball. So, absolutely worthy of my top 10. Ashton Genty, number 6. So, take it away, my love, with your number 5.
Alrighty, we're going into number 5 here. Jahmyr Gibbs.
Number 5.
457.9 fantasy points, projected to do 410.1. He was ranked RB8 for last year with 1,412 yards, 16 touchdowns. I can only say that continued success is predicted for him in the upcoming season, especially with the potential adjustments to the offensive line. He's already achieved franchise records. So let's see what he can do this year with the adjustments, and let's see if we really do see those numbers. Jahmyr Gibbs is that dude. Who is your number 5, babe?
My number 5 is Jonathan Taylor. Look, after drafting Breece Hall last year, I was scrambling for a running back. I was able to make a trade via Laporta. This dude, no nonsense. Even though I had a terrible fantasy year, he made it that much more better for me as a whole. Over 1,400 rushing yards. Missed a few games though, however, but was still able to put up an average of 17.6 points a game. Projected to do 398 overall. Colts is struggling over there with the quarterback, so expect that offense to rely on their cowbell, which is Jonathan Taylor. Number 5 worthy on my top 10 list. Without a doubt. Time for number 4, baby.
Number 4 for me is going to be Josh Jacobs. 300.
Number 4.
381.1 fantasy points, projected to do 372.8. 1,329 yards, 15 touchdowns. These are really impressive stats for a first-year player with a new team. Finished the season as a fantasy RB5, showcasing his value in fantasy football leagues. Number 4 for me, for sure. He's getting up there on my list, averaging 20.8 overall fantasy points per game. So let's see what he does. Who is your number 4, baby?
My number 4 is Sonic Jahmyr Gibbs from the Detroit Lions. Look, if it ain't Amon St. Brown catching the ball out there, it is Jahmyr Gibbs running the ball. Over 1,400 yards on the ground. Talking about dual threats, another 500 in the air, 52 receptions, 21.4 point average per game. Man, look, he is an absolute weapon. First, a running back. Second, projected to do 410 overall this year. Last year, he did 457. There's no way he takes a dip in his production, outside of possibly Montgomery taking a few more snaps. However, man, I don't see Jahmyr Gibbs slowing down anytime soon. You got to go fast. That being the case, take it away with your number 3, babe.
My number 3 is going to be Bijan Robinson. 443.7 fantasy points, projected to do 440.5. Did 1,456 yards, 14 touchdowns last year. He was ranked as the RB4. This man
Number
has expressed
3.
This man has expressed his desire for a Saquon type of season. So he's got the fire up under his ass. Let's see what he can do. I think you could definitely pick him up in the first, second, third round. If you're lucky, if he's still there, snatch him up. Who is your number 3, my love?
My number 3 is the king himself. Now I get it. He's getting a little bit older. However, man, to me, he is just like a Mike Evans. Until he stops doing it, he will continue to do it. Had him last year paired up with a Jamar Chase. No nonsense. That's all I needed to get to the playoffs. He was just that consistent, just that good. 441 overall last year. He's projected to take a dip. I say nonsense. If anything, he will do the same, if not more. Absolutely. 21-point average last year. I expect it to be the same, if not more, this year. He alleviates Lamar Jackson from the workload. He will be called upon and relied upon. He is the cowbell over there in Baltimore. So he is absolutely worthy of a top 3 mention in my top 10 list. Take it away, babe.
That's you. My number 2 is going to be Derrick Henry.
Number 2.
He went off last year for 457.9 overall fantasy points, projected to do 410.1. On average, he went off for about 24.1 average fantasy points. He went 1,921 yards last year, 16 touchdowns. Overall, he finished second in the NFL in rushing yards, was ranked the RB3 in fantasy leagues. What more can I say? Pick him up. I would even say that I might even snatch him up as a first round pick, no lie. I would. Who is your number 2, baby?
Absolutely, babe. He is just that consistent. Shouts out to King Henry. I'm gonna be eyeing him this year. Absolutely. However, for my number 2 spot, talking about a Saquon-esque year, you're absolutely right. He did mention that, and that is Bijan Robinson. This kid, man, he is something else down there. His vision, he's able to play get to the hole right away, no hesitation. You know what I'm saying? You see it in the replays, in and of itself, is just crazy to watch. However, 443 last year overall, 440 this year projected. That is a 25-point average per game last year. I expect the same, if not more. This kid is not slowing down. He's going into his 3rd year. This is the year where most players, it's like their prove it or lose it year. This is going to be a career year for him. No nonsense. Absolutely. I feel like it's going to be him and Saquon neck and neck, and maybe even throw Ashton Genty in there. In a 3-man race to see who gets to 2,000 yards first. No nonsense. This kid is nice, man. Absolutely. Oh, and to mention, let's not forget, again, remember, PPR leagues, 431 yards receiving, 61 receptions. Absolutely deserved my top 2 spot. With that being the case, babe, take it away from the number 1.
Without further ado, our number 1 is going to be, drum roll please,
Number 1.
Saquon
Barkley.
Oh, man.
He's that dude. What can we say, babe? 450.3 fantasy points, projected to do 430.7.
Absolutely,
He
absolutely.
He earned this number one spot.
I mean, easily. Look, man, for as much as it pains me to say it, for as much as it just tears me apart, damn near shed a tear to see the success that this man has had, and deservedly so. Make no mistake about it, I am not a hater. I am an appreciator, especially when it comes to talent like a Saquon Barkley. Over 2,000 yards rushing, 450 point average last year overall. He's projected to do 430. He has a way better offensive line than he ever has had with the Giants. He's playing with the Eagles. He's not slowing down. And I had my doubts, especially given his injury history with the Giants. Nah, he is not slowing down at all whatsoever. So, yeah,
he
man,
really did his thing last year with 13 touchdowns. He earned Offensive Player of the Year in his first championship, ranked RB1 on all fantasy formats. Let's hope. I want to see him go number 2.
Yeah, like as I said, I can't. Without a doubt, man, he is a phenomenal player, man. Deservedly so. Finally got a ring. Just sucks it wasn't with my team, man. But c'est la vie. C'est la vie. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Aboriginal Sports Faithful, our top 10 list for the 2025 football fantasy for your running back needs. And before we finish out here, we do have a couple honorable mentions, as we usually do, as well as sleepers. So, babe, if you want to go over yours real quick so I can go over mine and we can just wrap it up.
Yeah. My honorable mention is going to be Zach Charbonnet. Last year he went off for, 8 touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown. I think he finished with a total of 9 touchdowns. He's a strong red zone contributor. He showed out in preseason this year. If anybody watched the Seahawks game, he really did his thing. Hopefully he's going to get a spot on the roster. Walker, though, is the RB1. Charbonnet really did his thing last year. I think he's proven himself, and Walker hasn't really been producing as much with injuries and stuff. So I'm just speculating here. Let's maybe predict that Charbonnet might be taking over for him slowly but surely. I think it's well deserved for him, and he is projected to do not that much, but that's with Walker there. But I do think he's a sleeper, and if Walker should miss any time, that boy is going to go off for you. He went off for me last year. So with that being said, keep your eye on Mr. Zach Charbonnet. My sleeper is going to be DeAndre Swift, projected to do 225.7 fantasy points. He finished RB19 in all PPR formats last year, with 214.5 points behind players like Najee Harris and Tony Pollard. So he's a sleeper for sure. He's up there, and he is not going to be anyone's number 1 pick. So if you're hurting for somebody, definitely keep an eye out for him. If anything, you could slide him in your flex, but definitely keep him in mind. With that being said, who is your honorable and sleeper?
Thank you, baby. Thank you. My honorable, and for a while I was, mulling it over, thinking it out if I wanted him on my top 10. However, he just didn't make the cut. However, he did make the honorable mention, and deservedly so, man. 20-point average last year, did 313 overall, projected to do 342. He had a pretty solid season, over 1,100 yards on the ground, 0.1 points per average. It's just with him, he's sharing the carries with ETN. Rico Dotto is over there as well. So I don't know if I can rely on him as the bell cow running back per se. However, maybe like a reserve running back or a flex option running back, absolutely, I would consider drafting a Chuba Hubbard. And for my sleeper, without a doubt, all biases aside, Tyrone Tracy Jr. This kid, man, I was able to snatch him up in one of my leagues last year. And again, he was able to help me get to the playoffs. 839 on the ground, 38 receptions. Again, pay attention for the PPR needs, as well as 284 yards in the air. Now, he did play 17 games. However, he only started an X amount. This will be his second year starting. If Dable can get this running game going and he can, have a consistent run game going with Tyrone Tracy, absolutely, severely underrated. Definitely a sleeper you should keep an eye on. Again, for like a flex option, maybe like a reserve running back need type of situation. And with that being the case, these are our honorable mentions and our sleepers. Not bad for a running back list, if I may say so myself, babe. Not bad at all.
Yeah, I agree, my love. We definitely have some, good people on here. Some of the same people made our list in different slots, but overall, I think I am super excited for this year. What I've been seeing in these preseason games has been amazing, and I can just smell the football in the air.
It's that morning dew. That's what it is. It's just a familiar scent. Oh yeah, football is back, baby. Football is back. However, this is our top 10 running backs for your running back needs. Keep an eye out on the Aboriginal Sports Network for the tight ends list, as well as our defense/kickers. And yeah, man, stay tuned. And with that being the case, babe, hit them with the outro.
Welcome to Fantasy Foreplay, a start of the show, where your draft begins and your knowledge will grow. His picks and her flex, we got you back for show. From quarterback to sleeper, that's where we explode. All love, no lust, we the ones you can trust. Lock in your options, you know it's a must. With this week's fantasy, we'll help you adjust. Boom, up a bus, let's get ready to rush. Draft the right, don't miss the call.